Well, hello, and welcome to the Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. Once again this week, I am Shirley, a clinical hypnotherapist with a private practice here in Southern California, advocate mental health first responder at Whispering Zen Hypnotherapy and Wellness. So thanks for coming to the show. I am so glad that you found me today. It actually is the last show of 2021, and boy, are we so glad to get out of this one. Do you wish you could more freely start a healthy habit? Usually. Or just get back to feeling like you? Well, let's talk, because, I love working with everybody. And although I do specialize working with the LGBTQIA community, I love working with everybody. So if you need help, just need to talk, whatever, you can book online at any time at whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com. Yes, you can. So thank you. I don't know where you're hearing me from or seeing me from, because I'm on all kinds of things. But if you are catching me on YouTube, a thumbs up and a subscribe and a like would be awesome. And if you're listening to me on Twitch or Restream or wherever you're at, just kind of like it, and we'll boost up the show a little bit more, because that's what we're trying to do, is get the information out to everyone that it's okay. And mental health is something that we have to take care of, and we have to do. So that's the whole goal of the show, and I hope that some of you that have been watching for a while kind of understand that and how we're going. So before we get started, we're going to start like we always start. It doesn't really matter whether it's the first show of the year, the last show of the year. Here's what we're going to do. I wanted you to make sure that you are in a safe place. And by safe place, I mean you're not driving. You're not heavy machinery. You're not in the middle of a project you need to get done. None of that stuff. That's, if you close your eyes, because sometimes I tell you to close your eyes, sometimes you just do it anyway. And I don't want anybody to be closing their eyes while they're driving, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a nice deep breath, hold it in, and exhale with a smile, because you always exhale with a smile. Come on. And the next thing I want you to do is I want you to wiggle those toes. Yes, I said it. Wiggle your toes. Come on. Wiggle those toes. Inside your shoes, outside your shoes. I know in a lot of places it's really chilly today. As a matter of fact, I got a storm going on behind me. So, sometimes you need to be in your shoes or at least in your socks. Next thing I want you to do is wiggle your buns. I said it. Wiggle those buns. Squeeze in those cheeks. Get them moving, because you cannot wiggle your buns without a smile on your face. And I can't tell you to wiggle your buns, squeeze them in, or anything else without you smiling. So that's why I always tell you to do that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take one more deep breath. We're going to hold it. And the next thing we're going to do is exhale with an affirmation. And by affirmation, I mean something like, we got this. I can make it through. I'm doing okay today. Because sometimes you're trying to make it through the next day. You're trying to make it through the day, the week. For some of us, it's trying to make it through the next hour. Whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do. So I got this is my favorite. That's exactly what I do. I just tell myself every day when I'm doing these that, it's okay. And that's how we're gonna, I got this. So next thing, if you got a little extra time, you got a moment, kind of roll your ankles a little bit around, kind of wiggle the rest of your body, roll your shoulders, maybe your neck back and forth. Just loosen up everywhere, because that's what we're doing today. Oh yeah. And in just this short amount of time, you have actually loosened up everything from your toes to your nose and above. That's right. And that's what we're all about. We're all about taking care of you physically and mentally, mostly mentally. But if your body's all tightened up, then your brain's all tightened up too. And we need to get past that. So that is so important that you do that, and that you keep your nice deep breaths and you keep moving and everything. No matter what the weather is outside, no matter what's going on inside, it is just important to take care of you. It is so important. And I am a hypnotherapist, which I know kind of worries some people, but I know what I'm talking about here. And I get asked a lot of questions about mental health, of course, how to maintain it and everything. And the last few shows, we've been talking about this 21-day mental health rewind. And that's part of my Weeble Kung Fu, which, as you know, what Weeble Kung Fu is that Weeble was a toy from probably the 70s, and it had a round bottom on it. And no matter how things got, it could wiggle and weave, but it always uprighted itself. And that's the whole part of Weeble Kung Fu, is that whether you're having kind of an off day this way or an off day this way, somehow we always manage to right ourselves. And that's the most important part. So, and by doing this, 21-day mind hacking has just been one of those things that we've done for the last couple weeks, that what we can do is we get our brain centered, because part of mental health and mindfulness is not thinking about the past or the future. It's being right there, centered. It's being in the moment. And what this is doing is this is helping you be in the moment. Not worrying about everything that's going on that you have no control over. What we're going to do is we're going to work on things that you do have control over, because you have more control than you give yourself credit for. You are stronger than you give yourself credit for. And I know you are. And I know we can do this. And I know you can do this, because if I can do it, you can do it. Come on. That's how this works. And since we have been going over this, what I want to do is go back a couple days and maybe talk about day 13 a little bit. I am going to be making smaller, shorter videos, probably on the different steps, or print out like an easy 1 through 21 quick step thing, because some of you have asked for that. And that way, if you miss something or you're writing something down, I don't want you to get all confused or stop, because the whole idea is to keep it going. So when we stopped, or when we ended this last time, the whole idea was, when you have negative thoughts, is to stop them. And I know that sounds a little hard sometimes, but it's to be aware. Be aware of those negative thoughts. We concentrate on the positive thoughts, which is what I always want you to do, is think positive. And when you go into any venture, you have to start out in a positive mode. But we know that keeping a calm mind is really difficult. So what you need to do is just bring it down. But you have to be aware of those negative thoughts. And when you feel them coming in, be aware of them and ask yourself, where did they come from? Who made me start thinking like this? What was going on when all of this happened? And when you feel the negative thoughts coming on, if you have an opportunity to say it out loud, what I want you to do is I want you to just say stop. Literally stop. And stop what you're doing and ask yourself, where did that negative thought come from? Did it come from a coworker? Did it just pop up? Did you read something that made it happen? What made you think of that negative thought? And, what are you going to do about it? The object is to reprogram yourself by tapping yourself when you feel those coming on. We talked a little bit about, either tapping your arm. I know people that use rubber bands and it'll snap a rubber band. Some people tap their forehead. Some people just palm their forehead, whatever, so that you're acknowledging that you have stopped it, that you have stopped that negative thought and you're ready to move on now. Because once you acknowledge it and tell yourself to stop it, then, it makes all the difference. You are not that destructive thought. So you tell yourself, I am not whatever it is that you are thinking. I am never doing that again, and I am stopping it. And I am now, think of a positive thought or a positive affirmation. So an example might be, I am never blaming myself again, or I am blaming myself again would be your negative thought. I'm going to stop it. And tell yourself a positive thing. Like, I am brilliant at helping my friends and my coworkers and my customers and my clients succeed. Because sometimes, we start thinking that, why are we doing this? Why are you doing whatever it is you're doing? Why are you working where you're working? Why are you hanging out with who you're hanging out? So the next part that we're going to do, and it does get fun. I know it sounds like, oh my God, she's making me think of negative things. No, I'm just asking you to be aware of those negative things. And there's a big difference between bringing them up and just being aware of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to double down on our reprogramming. We're going to reward ourselves whenever we stop something like that. So every time you have a successful stop and hack those negative thoughts, give yourself a reward. And it can be a cookie all the way down to just a gold star, a physical comment, pat yourself on the back and go, I stopped it. I did it. Don't reward yourself with something huge, because then it gets really ominous and you're just like, I can't think of anything else huge. Because we don't want this to cost you anything. This is just sort of a, hey, I did it. Give yourself credit. We're hacking your mind. We're not overindulging in everything that we're doing. And your brain loves that dopamine, which is that chemical that makes you happy. And by rewarding yourself, you're reprogramming your mind to seek out patterns you're creating by turning the negative into the positive. I hope that makes sense to you, because that's what we're doing. We're actually reprogramming our mind. So we have that negative thought and we've told ourselves to stop. We've asked ourselves where it came from. We have reprogrammed it. And I think of it as kind of a mind flip. So if you think of something negative, stop it and then tell yourself, no, I'm not like that, and reword it as a positive. So it's kind of like, we have this saying in hypnotherapy where if you feel yourself rolling this direction, stop and wheel it back, wheel it back, wheel it back, wheel it back. And that's how, you get things moving. And that's how you start reprogramming. And it's all about repetition. It's all about periods of calm. We all have periods of calm in our lives, which is great. We're supposed to have periods of calm. And they can be anywhere. You can have a period of calm while you're in the shower, while you're waiting in a line, while you're just walking through your house, picking things up. And during those times, we break out a small pad. I know I'm having you write stuff down. And I know some of you are really against writing stuff down and journaling and things like that. But it really does help. And it helps more when you write something down than when you just tell yourself. Because writing it down means that you're actually aware of it. It's harder to just blow it off when you just say it out loud than it is to actually write it down. And during those times, write down affirmations of things that you really want to achieve, and nobody's going to see this. This is all about you. This is about, you keeping track of you. It's not an assignment. It's not something I'm never going to see. It's not something you're ever going to post. These are just things that maybe you want to achieve. And place those reminders of all of these positive goals in places around your house. I am the queen of Post-it notes because they are wonderful. They're small. They're sticky. You can place them anywhere. And you can take these post-it notes of these positive affirmations and put them everywhere. Put them on the refrigerator, put them on the coffee machine, put them on your, put them on the mirror in your bathroom, anywhere. One suggestion was even put them on the ceiling above your bed. So the first thing you see when you wake up is that positive affirmation. Now, there's two slight problems with this. One, if you have high ceilings, that's probably not going to work. And like me, I can't see anything till I put my glasses on. So the first thing I do is not look up and see a positive affirmation. I actually look around and try to figure out where my glasses are. But I put post-it notes in my bathroom mirror because I see that every time I go in there. I have them on the refrigerator. I have them on the chair that I sit beside. Everything like that. So it's the first thing that I see is these positive affirmations. And I see these positive, things these goals that I want to achieve. And it's important because what that does is you've written them down, put them, if you're at work, you can put them on the edge of your computer. You can put them, in a drawer that you open all the time. And so when you open it, you see today's going to be great. I am this much closer to my goal. Things like that. It's incredible how you can do that, So after you have your daily game of writing things down and your feedback and you're rewarding yourself for all the good things that you've done and you're rewarding yourself from stopping all the negative thoughts, it's time to add this extra little step. And it's about mental imagery. We worked on mental imagery before, and I always say you practice, pretend, or imagine, because some people aren't very good at imagining. Some people are really good at pretending. Some people are really good at assuming. So, this is how we do it. And your brain is now running at top speed because you're working on these objections. You're working on these negative thoughts. You're working on the positive thoughts. So, during your quiet time that you have wherever you're at, that you may have this little quiet time, 5-10 minutes. We're not talking all day. This is not like a second job. This is just something that we do. And if you've got that extra little spare time, like even if you're in the shower or you're in the bathroom by yourself finally, because that's your only quiet place, wherever you are, focus on that goal. Think about your goals. What is it that you really want to be doing? Imagine what it's like doing that goal. Don't just see it there, but picture, pretend, imagine yourself doing it. Let's say you're a top athlete. Top athletes in their mind do a race or whatever their skill set is. They picture themselves doing it over and over and over again. If you're a gymnast and you have a routine, you do that in your mind as many times as, that's what they see when they close their eyes, as they see that routine. Or runners, can feel every step as they're going, even if they're not moving. I've seen piano players on airplanes and piano players sitting there by themselves, and what they're doing is their fingers are moving. They don't have a keyboard in front of them. And sometimes they're wearing a headset, sometimes they're not. They're just totally in themselves doing this. And you slow yourself down and they go through the whole song. And in their mind, they know every note. They know everything that's happening. So when you think of these positive goals, ask yourself, how do they make you feel? Yes, it's feelings time. And it's kind of like when you're stopping the negative thoughts. Where did that come from? Who made me think like that? Well, on the positive side, ask yourself, okay, this is my goal. And don't make it huge and gigantic. Sometimes it's better to start with little tiny things, because those little tiny things are easier to break down into even smaller things. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But when you think of that positive goal, where you want to be, what you want to be doing, whether it's big or small, ask yourself, how does it make you feel when you're imagining yourself doing it? When you're imagining yourself doing it. And we're going to do that for a couple of days. So it's not like we're going to do it just one day and then get it done. That's like a 2-dayer. The positive thoughts and, how do you feel when you're doing that goal? And I know it can be totally amazing, and we're at day 19 at this point. So that's remarkable. Think of how far we've come from day 1, where you're just setting up a time and a place and maybe getting a pad and a piece of paper, and a pen or pencil, crayon, marker, whatever, and you're just setting a time. Think of all of that. You've come so far, and all the achievements and accomplishments that you've done. You've learned visualization. You've become how to become hyper-focused. You're breaking the negative patterns. You're creating new positive patterns. The repetition through the writing. And, the simulating your goals and how you're doing it and how it's making it feel. And that is so much. I mean, this is a month. It's less than a month. And think of how much you've grown. That is so much. And it's so amazing. Nice job. You got this. And at this point, you should feel confident enough to maybe spread it around. Spread around that positivity. Maybe you got a friend that you think might need a little bit of this, or a coworker that you think might need a little this positive. Spread it around and tell them how much you've changed and how much, this is such an accomplishment. When your goals and aspirations are shared with other people, you become accountable for those goals. And your brain subconsciously, I love the subconscious because there's a difference between the conscious and the subconscious. And that subconscious is working even harder to achieve those goals because you've reprogrammed your mind to think in those positive changes and those positive goals. Think about that. That is so amazing. You are so amazing. And for this next step, we're going to do what's called problem, assess, and goal. So after your concentration, your visualization, your simulation objectives, you've written them down. You've written down your sub-goals that'll move you forward. You start by asking yourself, what are the mini goals that I can achieve while getting to my bigger goal? See, I told you we'd come back around to this. And what you want to do now is list as many mini goals as you can. So you're breaking down your big goal into little goals. And then, list those mini goals, and then maybe list the reason why you don't think that you're going to be able to do them. So the problems that you might face getting to that point. And then the positive part of how you're going to get there. So let's say you want to lose some weight. It seems like that always seems to happen during this time of the year. People set goals. We'll go over that in a few minutes. But, let's say you want to lose 25 pounds. Well, you don't just start all of a sudden. Break it down into mini goals. Break it down into 5 mini goals. So now you've taken 25 pounds and you've broken it down into 5 pounds each. Not as bad, is it? So ask yourself, what are the things that you're going to need to do? Maybe drink more water. A lot of people drink lemon water because they think that that helps. But what's stopping you from that? Is your schedule too hectic? Something going on at work? Do you drink too much soda and you need to flip that around? break it down to, do you love weightlifting or walking or running? And what's stopping you from doing that? You know, is that because you can't go to the gym or don't want to go to the gym? Is that because you don't feel like you want to walk or you don't think it's going to do any good? You know, it's breaking these things down. What are some things that you need to do to, let's say, lose the weight? Well, you need to drink more water and you need to get a little exercise. And sometimes people change their diets to keto, or some people think going gluten-free helps a lot. All of that's kind of up to you. But, you know, list those things. So I'm supposed to work out more. Well, I can't really go to the gym. All right. Well, can you do extra walking? If you're at work, and there are stairs, you know, you got a choice between stairs and an elevator. What's stopping you from taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator? Now, some of us, like me, I have pretty bad knees, but I still try to take the stairs as much as possible because I know that I need to get that blood flowing and those things flowing. And I may not run up the stairs, but I still take them, you know, so this is my solution. How do I get a little extra exercise? Well, I park. When I go to a store, I generally park farther away from the store. And instead of trying to get the closest parking place possible, I'll park further out. That way I have a longer walk, and then I have a longer walk back out again. Adding those extra steps. This is how, you know, I've solved that problem. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get the amount of that arbitrary number of amount of steps you're supposed to get in. But what that does mean is I'm getting more than I would have before. You know, so you think of the problem. I need to drink more water. Okay, but I'm really addicted to soda. So how are you going to figure this out? Well, one thing that I did that helped me out was I have a soda stream or one of those machines that gives you the carbonation, because usually we crave that carbonation. That's what it is that we're missing. It's more of the carbonation and the bubbly and stuff like that. And then I add flavor to it. And I don't add a lot of flavor to it, but I've had to start by taking my addiction for this particular soda. And now I rarely have a soda at all. I know. It's weird. It's really weird for me. And I have an addiction to coffee. So we all know that drinking coffee all day isn't really great for you. You do need to get more water. So I set myself a time. And it's like by this time every day, I make sure that I've drank this much water to go along with this much coffee. And I never thought I'd be able to do it. And it's a pain. But you know what? You can do these things. So, you know, it may seem like a small change, but in the long run, it's going to be a big change. You know, if I'm trying to work on a project, a crafting project, I break it down. What do I need? What supplies do I need? How much time do I need? What else is going on in my life? When is a good time for me to do it? I break it down. So whether it's something like losing weight or if it's something like starting a project, break it down. It's going to make your life so much easier. And then when you accomplish these little goals, you've got that whole thing in your brain and the endorphins going and you get to do that little celebratory happy dance. I'm a big fan of the happy dance. I dance all over my house. It's a good thing. Neighbors think I'm weird, but it's still a good thing. So, you know, you spend your last day doing just those same things. So day 20 and day 21 are kind of about the same, setting up the mini goals and writing down, you know, what do you need to do? What are the problems? And how am I going to overtake the problems? And if you think about it, and sometimes if you talk it out, that'll help you, you know, figure it out. But sometimes that's why I say writing it down. You know, how when you have to make a decision and you take your piece of paper and you split it down the middle and you have the reasons why and the reasons not to. That's what we do. You have the reasons to do it, the reasons not to do it. You work it out. You see what's totally unrealistic, what you totally didn't need to think about, and you figure out the yes or the no. Well, this is kind of the same thing. You set your little goal, you set your big goal, then you set your mini goals, and then you do the yeses and the nos, the how do I do this, the how do I not do this, and then you work yourself through it. And, you know, that's it. That is it. Not only through this have you finished that 21-day challenge that doesn't need to end in 21 days. You can start from scratch again on a new issue or a new problem. You can go back to other days and spend more time on them and go, maybe she had this down and she told me about to do this on day 5 or whatever, but I think I need more time. Perfect. This is not like a set in stone, you have to do this, you know, in this amount of time. It doesn't work that way. So what you want to do is make sure that take as much time as you need. I know it says 21 days. I've been telling you 21 days, but if it takes 31, 41 days, whatever, if it's just something you need to continually work on, I'm continually working on this. You know, I have goals that I have set up for myself that I am struggling with. But I'm breaking it down and I'm doing little steps at a time to get me to the point to where I can do this whenever I need to, or I can do what I need to do to focus to get my mind through it. So that's a good thing. You know, from learning how your mind is continually running and how to find peace within the storm to acquire laser-like focusing through, you know, simulating those goals. In the very end, you've discovered not only a way to hack your mind, but your life to achieve these goals. And you don't ever stop moving forward, even through the challenge. The rewards that you've learned and you've earned, you know, keep going, keep working, keep doing it. You know, anything that you've forgotten during the challenge, it's okay. Maybe one thing stood out to you, and that's the one thing that you're going to concentrate on. That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. You know? And you can restart from the beginning if you've forgotten anything. You know, these shows are replayed on Facebook and YouTube and everything else. So that's what's important, is that you don't give up. We don't give up. We never give up. You know, we do what we can. We work with what we have. You know, you don't have to overstimulate yourself. You don't have to overdo it. These are strange times we're living in. And this is the weirdest time of year, that week in between Christmas and New Year's. Nobody really knows what to do. So it might be a good time to start something. But, you know, don't think of it as a New Year's resolution. Okay? Because this year, and this is important, I read this morning, and it made so much sense to me. And it's from a great guy named Chris Thompson, who's another hypnotist. And what he said connected with me this morning. And I want to make sure that I had enough time to tell you about it. Because this year, instead of making a New Year's resolution, which we know that 90% of the people never make resolutions. They make them, but they don't stick with them. Which is why your life is a process, for one thing. But instead, take one of your excuses that you've been using all year long, or your whole life long. Take one of those excuses and give it a funeral. Let it go. Give it a funeral. This is such an awesome concept. And the way you need to think about it is that a funeral is usually a celebration of life. That's the way we like to think of funerals. So why not use that celebration and say, okay, I'm giving this excuse a funeral so that it no longer exists in my life, and I'm going to use this as a celebration of going on to my next chapter. Celebrate going on to your next chapter. I love this idea. Celebrate that you used to live with certain excuses. And you know what the excuses are. We all do. Your excuses are yours. My excuses are mine. But those days are done. I challenge you straight out to give up one excuse that you've been using, no matter how big or how small, and start a fresh challenge. Find an excuse, which we have a million excuses. We always have so many excuses. So find an excuse that you've been hanging on to. I can't do this because. I shouldn't do this because. Anything that you say after the word because, or anything after you use the word but. I want to do this but. I want to seem like this but. I can't do this because. Take any of those sentences that come after the word but or because, and take one. Take your favorite excuse. I can't do this because. Take those and let them go. Let it go. Give it a funeral. Because you know what? You're not celebrating its life. You're celebrating your life. You're celebrating your next chapter. You're celebrating you not doing it anymore. So we're going to take that excuse, give it a funeral. It's a celebration of your life and your next chapter. This is part of nourishing your soul. Take time for yourself in a meaningful way to do something you've been wanting to do or wanting to try, and go for it. Go for it. Don't let that excuse take you down. Just don't let it happen. You know, we work on meditations, we work on mindfulness, we work on all of this, and it's about you. It's about you doing what you need to do. You know, and when it comes to mindfulness or meditation or anything like that, or working on these little skills, working on these little mind hacks, the thing you need to think of is that if you tell yourself, I don't have 5 minutes to do this to spend on me, then you need at least an hour. That's right. No more excuses. You know, this time of year, people do random acts of kindness. You know, when you go somewhere and you get a coffee or you go to dinner or whatever, you know, tip bigger. Random acts of kindness. Go check on a neighbor. Have cookies delivered to some first responders. Go drop something off. Like I said, go check on a neighbor. Go call a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. You know, a lot of us have those friends that, although we don't talk to them as often as we should, every once in a while you need to check in and just go, hey, still here, still thinking about you, we're still friends. Friends don't have to call each other every single day, but just think of it as one of these wonderful, even if you have to say, well, it's the end of the year, so I'm going to clean up everything I haven't done. However you need to think about it, it's okay. You know, I put these things out for you and to help you become mentally stronger and get yourself, your brain where it needs to be, and to tell you that, remember, watch yourself, because this time of year is kind of crazy. So you need to watch yourself in case you feel like maybe you're starting to slide a little bit. Ask for help. I'm always around. I'm your Hypno Fairy Godmother. I'm here for you. Other mental health people are here for you. There are helplines. There are text me. There are emails. There are phone calls. There's anything that you need. And like I said, this is a weird time of year where people are a little confused as to what they're supposed to be doing. So use this time for you. Use it if you took some vacation time. I know a lot of us didn't take vacation time, but if you did, take some extra time for you. Not thinking about what's coming up, not thinking about what happened. If it happened, let it go. If it's going to happen, you can look forward to it, hopefully, but don't put too much into it. It's more important that you're here now and you're being there now, you know? And I encourage you to take breaks. Take breaks. Go out for a walk. It's raining outside right now. And you know what? I'm going to put my shoes on and I'm going to take a little walk. I don't mind the rain. I don't melt. Other places have a lot of snow, so please be careful. But we're allowed to leave our homes. I know sometimes it gets a little scary, but you're allowed to leave. You're allowed to take a break. You're allowed to spend time with you. And even if you have a big family, you're still allowed time for you. I know people that listen to this show and listen to other shows, and they do it in the car by themselves. I've done appointments with clients who I tell you to find a quiet place where it's just the two of us, and you have on a big set of headphones so that you can hear me. And you know what? They do it in their car if they need to, because that may be the only place that you're ever alone. I used to say that in the bathroom, but I know a lot of you, if you have kids, you're never alone. So wherever you need to do it, to spend 5 or 10 minutes with you. And it can be scary spending time with yourself. Oh my God, it can be so scary spending time with yourself, because then you actually have to deal with you issues. But that's what this is about. This is about you issues. This is about you coming into focus. You becoming this greater person. You becoming the person that you want to be and the person that you love to be. You can do this. You know, always take note of your mental state. Some people get so crazy this time of year and any time of year that they forget to take notice of themselves. They forget to take notice of their mental health. And you can't do that. You know, we just went over 21 days of taking care of you. Well, for the most, these take 5 or 10 minutes. You know, and if you have to lock yourself in the bathroom so that you get a couple minutes, then do it. If you have to do this in your car, you know, go park down the street just so you have 5 or 10 minutes to yourself. Do it, because it is so important. It is so important. And it's important that you know that all of these shows that I do, they're always on Facebook under Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. I hope that may be where you found me today. They're always on YouTube under Hypno Fairy Godmother Show. That may be where you found me today. They're always everywhere. Plus, if you miss something or you have any questions, I will always answer them. Once or twice a week, I get questions from shows that I did weeks ago. But you know what? I'm always here to answer those questions. I'm always here to take appointments. Or if you just need to vent, you know, that's what we do. We're there for you and your mental health. And so, you know, I want to start to end this, but I want to make sure that since we still have, you know, about another week before the end of the year, we made it through this. We want to start by doing every day your self-compassion pause. That self-compassion pause is for you by taking a moment and taking a wonderful, nice, deep breath from your core and just focus your awareness. Just focus where you are right now. Focus. Put your hand on your chest. Give yourself a hug. Make some physical contact with yourself because you're human and you need physical contact, even if it's with yourself. Take those wonderful deep breaths. You can acknowledge that you may not be doing great today, but that's all right. That's okay. Acknowledge that things may be a little messed up right now, but give yourself permission to feel it. Give yourself permission to acknowledge it. You don't have to be walking on sunshine every single day of every single moment. We're allowed to have bad days. I don't want you to wallow in your bad days, but acknowledge it and go, today is not my day. And if you have to deal with people or you have to work or whatever, and you have somebody that keeps coming up to you and going, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Stop them and go, you know what? Today, just not a good day for me. So unless it's really important, we can deal with this tomorrow. Most people will actually understand that it's okay to have days like this. You know? I also really quick want to go over our 3-minute breathing space because you can give yourself 3 minutes. Before I was talking about 5 to 10 minutes. This is a 3-minuter. You can do this in the bathroom. You can do this in your car. You can do this anywhere. But again, it's a safe place thing. It's not while you're driving. It's while you're parked. You know, let's say you have to go to the grocery store for something, or you need to return something, or whatever. Take these 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And do this for you. And take that first minute and ask yourself, how am I doing right now? How am I doing right now? Think about that. Most of us don't think about these things. How am I doing right now? And in your next breath, just be aware of your breathing. Feel your breathing slowing down. Feel your breathing slowing down. Because when your breathing slows down, then your heart rate will slow down. Your blood pressure will go down. And who knows, maybe even your shoulders will go down. You're keeping awareness of your breath. And in that last minute, while you're thinking about your breath, think of how that's making you feel. How does that calm? How does that relaxation, just a little bit, how does that affect the rest of your body? How does that affect your mind? It should have a huge effect. Because it's a wonderful thing to just take that time to breathe and be aware of who you are and be aware of how things are going. And I know keeping a quiet mind is challenging. It really is. And thoughts are going to pop up while you're breathing, and they're going to pop up while you're doing anything. But the idea isn't to block them, but rather let them come into your mind and then go straight out. Just observe them and let them go. The intention is not to repress those feelings, but to experience those feelings, good or bad. Experience those feelings. You're human, and we go through these things, but you have to be aware. Don't just let things zip past you. It's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. But remember, if you start to feel yourself slide in any way, please get some help. Please contact any of the helplines. Contact me. You need to be aware of you, and whether we're working on big goals, little goals, whether we're working on hacking your brain, whether we're working on just concentrating on your breathing, you're not alone. You're not. And you never will be alone. You never will be. Because your crazy hypno fairy godmother will always be here for you. And there's a lot of other caring people out there too that will totally be there for you. So I want to thank you for listening today. It has been my pure pleasure to be even a small part of your journey. And I hope that it's been calming, maybe a little soothing, and you get something out of it. And mostly I hope that wherever you are, you're leaving a little more of who you really want to be. I'm Shirley, clinical hypnotherapist, activist, and mental health first responder with Whispering Zen Hypnotherapy and Wellness. And I work with my clients, and maybe you, and we work as a team to find the best way to get you back to being you, without fear, without worrying about it, without pain, without angst. And I work online so I can help you wherever you're at and wherever you are, because we start from where you're at right now. Hypnosis isn't for everybody, I understand that, but maybe we can work together. Again, I'm Shirley Yance, clinical hypnotherapist, and if you want a consultation or just to talk, I'm always there at whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com, or just look up Whispering Zen Hypnotherapy. You can book a consultation, you can get a hold of me, and know that it has been my sincere pleasure to be there with you today. Remember to take one more last deep breath. Hold it. Breathe out with a smile. Tell your friends about the show, and I promise you it's going to be okay. And I will see you next week.